Leading in a male-dominated industry as a woman is something that no one really prepares you for. The funny thing is, you can be very qualified and extremely experienced and be the most confident person. And still, sometimes when you walk into a room full of men, you can start second guessing yourself. At least that's still my experience after so many years of doing this. Especially when it comes to a room where you're trying to build that credibility from day one and you have no relationships built yet. So this week, I had to lead a kickoff meeting made up of entirely men, and I'm the project manager. My project team for this project is basically all men. Probably because this project is very heavy on the construction management side of things. Anyways, like I said, after years of doing this, you'd think this stuff wouldn't faze me anymore. And yet I found myself very nervous in those minutes leading up to that meeting. I was mainly nervous about how I would show up and how my project team was going to react to me, especially because these were all new relationships that I was building from scratch. It was a very, very new team for me. If it had been a previous team that I'd worked with, I probably wouldn't have been so nervous. Here's how I approached it and what's helped me lead in a male-dominated industry as a woman. First off, ground yourself. Take a moment before that meeting, before you start, 10 minutes to ground yourself, to breathe, to center yourself, and to remind yourself that you're good at what you do. I truly believe that a leader that is self-regulated and balanced sets the tone for the entire project team, which is something that I didn't learn until later on in my career. Early on in my career, had I been in the same situation, I probably overcompensated. I used to think that I had to immediately prove in that first impression that I could keep up. So somehow I defined that as being the loudest, speaking up the most, probably talking over people, and I thought that that would earn me respect and credibility. Over time, I realized that that was actually really poor leadership. I realized that the respect came with how consistent I was, how prepared I was, how well my message came across, and how much they saw that I respected them. And then over time, that just naturally became in me focusing on doing the job well, instead of focusing on how I was being perceived. If I was focused on being prepared, having questions answered, having everything that I could in front of my project team to show them how much I cared about that project, that was way more important to earn their respect than me really worrying about how I was being perceived. No one cares. As long as you come prepared and you're willing to show your team that you're here to lead and that you're confident about it, but at the same time, you're an open-minded, willing to learn kind of person, you're going to do fine. They're going to respect you. My authority just started feeling more natural that way. Next thing, I kind of already touched on it, but don't overcompensate. You think that because you're in a room full of men and you're the only woman, that you need to overcompensate because of that difference. And it's something that I see a lot. I mean, it's something that I used to do a lot. Walk into that room knowing your worth and knowing your intelligence. Don't let that little voice in your head or that little self-doubt creeping in make you want to list every single credential that you have, or make you want to dominate the conversation and overstep and overtalk over everyone. Make sure you come in with confidence and with strength in your voice and prepared with what you have to say, because all of that will speak for you. Sometimes, because being the only woman in the room makes you feel a little bit insecure, it makes you want to kind of prove yourself, kind of talk and be loud and show that you belong in that room just as much as everyone does. But that kind of actually has the opposite effect. The truth is, you belong in that room. You already do. And you don't need to perform the confidence. You just need to be able to stand in it and truly embody it. Next up, you need to be able to acknowledge the expertise that's in that room without shrinking yourself. If you're working with subject matter experts that have done this for much longer than you are, recognize it. I mean, it's a great thing and it's something to respect. So, for example, I knew that this team that I was working with has not only way more experience than I did in the subject of this specific project, but they'd done the project before. I told them, hey, as much as I've been doing this for a while, you guys are the experts here, so please feel free to interrupt me wherever I miss anything. That acknowledges that I'm here and ready to lead, confidently can lead you, but I acknowledge your expertise and I know that you probably know much more than I do. And we're going to need each other to deliver this project. So it shows that you respect them while at the same time you're maintaining your confidence in your leadership. In an ideal world, this would go very smoothly. And because you're prepared, because you're embodying confidence, you are able to work with a project team made of only men very easily. However, we do not live in an ideal world. And so there will be times where you might be tested. So pay attention to the dynamics in the room. This is where you're going to demonstrate your emotional intelligence, which is another thing that shows your leadership and shows how prepared you are. And if they're testing you a little bit and you become defensive, you're automatically going to lose a little bit of respect. So stay steady, practice active listening, and practice your emotional intelligence to respond confidently, but calmly. Over time, even if they test you a little bit, they'll realize that you're not just capable, but you're also dependable. Next one is leading through competence and not credentials. I think one of the first things that you want to do when you walk into a room that's kind of scary is start spilling your credentials. I have a master's. I have done this for 20 years. And so you try to push it on everyone, which again ends up doing the opposite. People don't really need to know your credentials. They need to see how you're going to handle the project, how you're going to handle that meeting, how you're going to handle all the coordination that's going to need to happen. So if you do need to provide a little bit of reference to your background just to, give a little bit of credibility, try to do it naturally. The most natural way, obviously, is getting through your first impression of that meeting well, which means that you better come prepared to that meeting, to lead it, to be clear, to be organized, to provide them everything that they need. Also, because it sets the first impression on how you are as a leader and how you provide information and how organized you are, and how that's likely, if you have those really high standards, that's likely what you're going to expect from your project team as well. And yes, that first impression matters a lot. That first meeting, that first kickoff meeting with your project team in a male-dominated industry is going to matter a lot. So being prepared, being able to communicate clearly and effectively is going to carry a lot of weight when it comes to presenting yourself as a leader and earning the respect of your team. Okay, last one. Balance support with strength. I like to adapt a very servant kind of leadership style with all of my project teams. So I like to let them know that I'm here to support them in anything that they need, that I'm here to make their life easier and make sure that they have all the resources, all the tools, all the questions answered so that they can deliver the project. However, I'm also very firm on my expectations, and I have very high standards. So for example, if someone requests anything that doesn't impact the project materially, it doesn't impact the schedule or the cost, I don't care. I'm going to say yes, do whatever you want. However, I also expect a lot out of them. I expect every deliverable to be on time. I expect every deliverable to be of high quality. I expect over communication, and I expect a lot from that project team. So I can be extremely supportive and I can be extremely lenient, not really caring, as long as the project is delivered on time within cost at a high quality standard. So it's definitely a balance. And as women, I think we are often seen as trying to please everyone because we want to be a part of the team and we want to belong. But leadership isn't about pleasing everyone. And not every woman is agreeable to everything. If anything, most of them are very strong on what they expect out of their teams. But they're that way because they're also very supportive. At least that's in my experience. I know not everyone is the same. The thing is, I want to be very supportive and agreeable and work with my team, but at the same time, be very strong on my expectations because unfortunately, leadership isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about being strong on boundaries and expectations while at the same time being able to be approachable and fair. At least that's how I approach it. So, yes, I still get nervous when I have to walk into a room full of men where I have to lead in a male-dominated industry, even after so many years of experience. For the most part, what I've learned in over 10 years of working in a male-dominated industry is that leadership is mostly about presence, it's about influence, it's about consistency, it's about being prepared, earning the respect of your project team because you collaborate with them. That's how you earn a leadership position and respect as a leader. And while, yeah, it still makes me a little bit nervous, I've realized that it's really just more about how much I care about the project, how much I care about my project team, and getting us through a project successfully. These are things that I do for any project team. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go and check out my playlist on project management technical skills, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.